you know for sure what we're talking about here? And if you do really know what we're talking about, okay, like, is there some reasonable sense of that there might be a problem that you want to solve here? There's someone you care about who's going to be affected financially when you pass away. And so sometimes you have to slow down, especially on older bonus leads, or I'd say even call-in leads. You got to slow down, make sure, do you remember that? Okay. We're showing your records still open. Did anyone ever get back to you about that? I mean, we're following the script, but if you get hesitation, instead of just trying to barge through that, okay, well, I just need to gather some info, because if you do that, that's a recipe for failure and people not showing up. It's like, have a real conversation with a real human and be like, well, it sounds like you're a little uncertain there. Like here, let me just kind of, tell you what this is. Who do you know who's going to be affected financially when you pass away? What does that look like? What do things look like? And you start to find a little bit of a need, because once we find a problem that someone might have, they might want to solve, now we might be able to help them.
Yeah, you teed that up so perfectly. I love it. So that is I anybody that asks me that knows me, when they ask them what I do, I'm a professional problem solver, right? And we solve three problems at this company, right? First, we solve the problem of what we're talking about right now is we help people, right, at the worst time, right? Me, you, and Jesus, it's everybody on this call, it's coming for us one day. Okay. We solved the work-life balance problem of we were having a convo in the Mac room here about, Kelly was Summers was talking about, oh yeah, it was so fun when we got to wear jeans to work on Friday. And today she's like, and I'm wearing house slippers now, like having to like dress, having to dress a certain way. So we solved that, solve that problem as well. I love that we do that. So that the agents that are on here, that this is where I really want to go through with this is where I think I'm strong. I've listened to you. I know this is where you're strong, is remembering when they ask the question, right? When the client makes the statement, how do you help them reframe that they don't have to answer the statement they're saying? You know, um, hey, will this do this? Right? What they're really saying is I need this problem solved. Okay. And instead of so what a lot of new agents do is they rush. I have to solve this problem instead of finding out what's the core underlying value. So how does that look for you in an appointment? Like, what does that look like when we're gonna, like Chris talked about, we're gonna open this up for everybody a little bit, but role play wise, right? If I say to you, hey Chris, I I just I just want to make sure this is the right thing. I don't know if this is the best, solution for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I appreciate you mentioning that, and honestly, I don't know yet if it's the best solution for you either. Here, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Sure.
Okay. So Trevor, right now, you have a $300,000 mortgage, right? You told me, and you're paying about 2,200 a month, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't live in California, so I can have a $2,200 a month mortgage.
Yep, right. Yeah, double that if you live in California. Um, so so kind of, you know, what does that look? Actually, I'm not doing this the best way because I kind of jumped in midstream here.
Yeah.
Let's do this, Trevor.
Yeah.
Obviously you got this little flyer in the mail about mortgage protection, right?
Yeah.
And you'd responded to it. What was it that caught your attention about that? Why did it feel like it might be something that's important for you?
It said that I can get my house paid off if something happened to me, and I want to make sure my family's ultimately protected.
Okay, got it. And when we're talking about your family, who are we talking about here?
Okay, I want to stop there real quick. Do you notice how he's making the connection? Hey, he said, I want to know who he's trying to protect, right? So, and we'll go back to it. Um, but that is so important. Okay. Like you have to find out who they're trying, their why is what he's digging towards. So remember that as we go through, right? So, I got me and Mel, and then, some other family I take care of, but really my wife is the main concern here.
Okay, yeah. So Mel is the main one you're thinking about here, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. So like tell me a little more. Why is it important to have something that would cover that mortgage when that time comes and you passed on?
I mean, I just like that, I'd like her to not have to struggle, just not have to have that stress.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. Yeah. So you're just, it sounds like you're really wanting to make sure she's in a good place and not struggling when that day comes, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that I think everybody would want that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And guys, I'll take a quick timeout.
Mhm.
So Trevor said the word struggle there, right?
Yeah.
That was an emotional word he used.
Yeah.
When the client uses emotional language, whatever words they use, if you need to jot it down on your notes or your CQF, do it like whatever you have to do. Keep track of that thing because that's the word that you're going to use over and over now for the rest of the appointment. Like as things get more and more precise, the language between you and the client of here is the problem we're trying to solve. Whatever language the client has used or you've clarified with, and the client's like, yes, that's exactly it, you're going to find a couple of words or a phrase that you're then going to just keep repeating over and over because that's the problem they're trying to solve, right? So Trevor, you don't want Mel to be struggling. Now, so Mel, because you're sitting right here too. Let me just let me ask you a question real quick, all right? And I want you to just imagine for a minute that God forbid you were to get the phone call tomorrow, right? Trevor went to Home Depot and he's supposed to be on his way home, and someone was texting and driving and they ran a red light and they hit him. And you're getting this phone call now. Man, there's been an accident and we need you to come down here and identify a body because we think it's your husband. What does that situation look like for you in terms of finances? You've got your $2,200 a month mortgage payment, you have all your normal living expenses. What does that kind of look like for you?
Uh, you know, uh, I got some savings. I haven't even really thought about it. I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, no one likes thinking about this stuff, right? I get the privilege of having these conversations with people all day, every day, asking these really uncomfortable questions. Um, and the thing is, like, we all have to think about it someday, right? And the question is whether we think about it in advance or whether that thing kind of blindsides us when that day comes, right? So Mel, you have some savings. Like how much are we talking about in savings
I'd be okay for a couple months.
for a couple months? Okay. Now, Mel, so obviously, Trevor has an income that you guys talked about. He's making about $7,000 a month, right, in his job, and he's a manager. And then, Mel, what's your current income?
Right around the same.
Right around the same. Okay, so about 7,000 for each of you. And then you said you have enough savings to kind of get you through like a couple months. Now, what about like any other assets that at least in theory could help you if you're in a situation like that? Like, do you guys have like any retirement savings, like 401ks, IRAs, stuff like that, life insurance, other real estate?
Yeah, no life insurance. We do have our 401ks. But
Hmm.
we're in our 40s. It's if I touch that, I'm gonna get whacked pretty good.
Yeah. So in other words, you're like, I don't want to touch the 401k because that's supposed to be for the future, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And about how much in your each of your 401ks right now?
Probably 100K between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. Probably 100k between the two of them. Okay. So about 100k between the two of them. We don't want to touch that. So enough savings to make it for a couple of months. So Mel, like, again, just taking you back to if you were in that situation. So you've lost about right now, you guys have a combined household income of about $14,000 and your income drops to about 7,000, right?
Yep.
So what would that be like? Like what would you do?
I don't know. I have never really thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I can't live the lifestyle we live with the kids and the house and the cars and all the sports and everything. Like I need that income.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What would you see like having to change with your lifestyle?
Everything, right? Like everything would have to change. Like we would, just everything would change there. So as that goes down, it would just be a complete change. So um yeah, it would be a very different lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Would you be able to stay in your house?
Um Probably not, right? Like we'd probably need to downsize a little bit, without that extra money coming in. So because I got the cars and the insurance now and everything's on me. So
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. And Mel, let me ask you another question, and you may or may not have a great answer to this question, but as best you can see right now, if you were in a situation like that and Trevor was gone, would you want to continue living there in your same house indefinitely? Or do you see a situation where maybe after some time you'd be wanting to sell or downsize or move somewhere else or
well,
do something?
no, like the kids go to school here, all their friends are here, like this is the spot. So like that the whole point of why we filled out the thing was, hey,
Mm-hmm.
right, if something happens, we'd like to keep in the same house.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So kind of what I'm hearing, and I want to make sure I'm on the right track and tell me if I'm not. If something happened to Trevor and his income was gone, Mel, you said like everything would change. It would be sounds like it would kind of a struggle just getting through that. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a struggle for both. If we require both the incomes to maintain, where we're at.
Yep. And I'll have a couple of questions for Trevor about that in a second too. So yeah, really for either one of you, yeah, because you're dependent on both of those incomes and your incomes are about the same, you said. So so you mentioned kind of everything would have to change. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, like that's, I don't like that. I don't want it to, if that comes, I don't want it to have to change. I don't, I'm not the kind of person that's going to put a GoFundMe on Facebook. So, I'm the figure it out person.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, so kind of what I'm hearing, and this is kind of what you were speaking to too, Trevor, is like Mel, if you were in that situation and Trevor had passed, that it as things stand right now today, it really would be a struggle. Like everything would change, and you guys are wanting to put yourselves in a position where you wouldn't have to go through kind of all of that upheaval, especially with your kids. God forbid if something happened. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Got it. And Trevor, kind of same question for you. Now let's just imagine you got that phone call and Mel was gone, and we kind of touched on it already, but just Trevor, from your point of view, what would that look like for you financially in terms of mortgage
Kind of
payments,
same
car
boat. Yeah. I
payments?
mean, both our incomes are required here. I'd say it'd be a struggle. We couldn't keep, the cars and, like the other stuff and, the kids going to school and the daycare and just, yeah, we would be in a tough position.
Okay. Yep. So there's kind of this whole upheaval you'd go through of everything changing and just struggle that you mentioned that you don't want to have to go through, God forbid if something happened, right?
For sure.
Okay. All right. So at that point, guys, do we have like a clear definition in some emotional language of what is the problem that we're trying to solve for the client?
For sure. So like what I love here, like is put in the chat, okay? If you like, do you take the time with your client? Let's be real transparent here. That's what this call is for, okay? Let's be real transparent about what you're doing. Do you spend that kind of time getting to know your clients why? Or are you rushing to just show them the quotes? Like, which are you doing? Right? Like, no, but I should surface level or dig deep. Yeah, like are you really getting to know their why? A fraction, right? A fraction of that. The reality is the part we're talking about right now is the only part that matters. It's the only part. Did you see how Chris literally Bob Ross painted that picture? Right? Like he was on there doing his little sad tree, right? Hey, he made sure he had both. Yeah, like you want to get to know them, but you get to know them. Like, do you really take the time to understand that why? And noticed he kept pushing. He didn't just go, okay, thank you, right? Like, I got my info. Here's your good, better, best. Here's your three options. Which one makes the most sense for you, right? He didn't do that. He kept saying, hey, he painted a complete picture that it goes through. So, Chris, one of the things I like to do, and they've heard this a lot from me, is during that process, my to like when I'm first starting to get them going,
Mhm.
most people have a good reaction of when they met. So if I'm dealing with a married couple, my go-to is this: I say, hey Chris, um, my favorite thing here um is I get some crazy stories with this. Sometimes it's real basic, but this is a requirement for us to work together. Okay. You got to tell me the story of how you and your wife first met. Okay. And
Okay.
one of two things happens. They go, oh, it was, they answer real quick. But I just start digging. But if they chuckle, my response is, okay, listen, don't give me the the party story. Like, I want to hear how it is, because that laugh means it's good and you guys have a cool story. And for me, what I'm trying to do is remind them that they love each other and that they do want to protect each other and why they get married. What does right? Like, what does that look like for you to get that icebreaker going? What are you doing? Like, that's my go-to. What's your go-to to get that opened up?
I think that's a great icebreaker right there. And I don't know if I have one that good. So I will usually my icebreaker more so tends to be along the way in the conversation, whatever little things they throw out, I'll latch on to something and just kind of interject some extra comments or jokes or cracks or ask a question about it, or kind of go down some little trail on something.
Yeah.
I actually really like your icebreaker. I do ask clients sometimes, usually not until I'll do this like filling time while pages are loading on an application.
Yeah.
I'll ask a married couple like, yeah, so you guys been, you've been married 25 years, what are your tips for a long, happy marriage or something like that? And you get some interesting answers. But no, that's actually a fantastic icebreaker because it helps people relax with you and kind of get into their emotions and get into their own story, right?
Yep. Yeah, like most people remember, right? If we're talking to them, they're married. That's a great core memory of how they met. Like, I remind them, and I've got some wild stories. Like, I have one that I share, and I'll share it here because it's a great story for you guys to borrow. Okay. This is an actual true story that happened. Okay. I asked this question. They say they hysterically laugh out loud. Like, they like almost snort when I ask. I'm like, okay, I want like the juicy version. They go, okay. So they're in their 60s now when we're having this combo. They say, we were both in our early 40s. We had both just been divorced less than 30 days. They went to a charity auction, and they're both came out of messy divorces, right? I'm condensing it, but they're like, right, we're not dating, I'm not interested, right? It's not even been a month. They meet at this charity auction at the bar. They start talking. Long story short, 72 hours later, they are in Vegas getting married and move, and Brady Bunch their family in together on the fourth day. And their
Oh,
families lose their minds, right? They're like, you guys are like, right? To hear them tell the story is amazing, right? They're like, you guys are out of your minds. What, like, stop. Like, what are you two doing? And then it was 25 years later, they're still married. They're like, we just knew we met the person, right? And generally, if they're still married and they're talking about mortgage protection or life insurance, guys, they still are with their person. So we want to create that emotional thing there. And then you can have a story like, oh, if they're not sharing, like, let me tell you a crazy story while the papers are loading and we're trying to get the things processed. So, for the agents now, right? So we've got that built up that are, from a question standpoint, how did you learn, right? What did you do to start getting better at asking questions? What did building that muscle look like for you? Because same, right? Like, I wasn't always great at it. I had to learn. It's a skill I've learned.
yeah. A lot of it, well, first of all, through a lot of failure and the pain of failure, and then going, I have to get better. So that's what lit the fire under me. And then what that fire under me did was it made me seek out as many other top producers as I could. I listened to every training I could. I was on like every call, like this, taking notes, taking notes, taking notes. Oh, that's a great question. Oh, that's a great phrase. Oh, that's a great whatever. Like, oh, that's a great, kind of road to go down, having that discussion with the client. And so you just sort of build up this war chest over time. And I think where you see the shift, Trevor, I don't know how it was for you, Trevor. I know how it was for me. I'm seeing you guys in the chat earlier, a lot of you going like, yeah, no, I don't really kind of go that deep or whatever. Like I didn't either, right? In my first, you know, 3 to 6 months in this business, a sit no sale for me took like 15 minutes.
2 minutes. Yep.
The,
Same.
these days, a sit no sale for me takes an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. And I set up camp. So I use the corporate slide deck for mortgage protection. It's NHQ, so I'm running my appointments over Zoom. So for those of you guys who use that slide deck, the understanding your concerns slide, like that is the really pivotal slide where you have this whole conversation that Trevor and I role played, and I set up camp on that slide. And you can tell a lot, like when I coach agents and we do a lot of reviews of people's actual sales recordings in our mortgage protection university and stuff. When I coach agents, one of the first things I'll do if I have their recording is I'll look even before I start actually listening to the recording or watching it, I look and see how long did they spend on understanding your concerns. And if that's like 5 minutes, I'm like, there's the problem. Like we're gonna dig in here because I think even on a pretty simple laydown one, for me at least, and Trevor, I'd be interested to hear you. It's often like 10 minutes on a real simple laydown, but very frequently 20 minutes, maybe 30, maybe 40. I mean, we ain't going anywhere for as long as we need to until we know the problem we're solving and we're all on the same page about that.
Absolutely. I'm the same. So that was right. I came in, my show rate was 11%. And Scott, I would text Scott if I literally have that. I have the text saved. I would screenshot it. And it said, if I could just get these stupid people to show up, I could sell them something. Like, I remember that. Yep. Right. Scott, like, remember, like, I was getting so mad. And then guess what? I got him to show up. And then my appointments were 12 minutes, 16 minutes.
Yep.
And but that's what we all do. But it's so for me, think about like somebody that's great in any sport. I'm a sports guy. I'm always going to refer sports. Okay. The elite guys, right? Spring training starting. I'm in Arizona this winter with the RV, so it's great. We're going to go to some spring training games and, but pitchers and catchers reported. So it's all over here. Those guys don't just go throw, they're studying, they're absorbed. I did the same thing Chris did. Like, one of the great things is, we're in a digital world. Right up front, Jeremy Fine and Javon Spencer were on two trainings that the Purdy group was doing, and I got two things for that. Same thing. Oh, I want doing that. Oh, I'm not doing that. So they don't become, for me, it's obsessed. You got to be like obsessed over understanding this craft, because if you get good at it, you like when I have a like I had this conversation with Scott yesterday. I had to take I'm taking some gross roll up debt. It's gross. I go, know what's cool though? I go, I'm just gonna go hustle a couple policies and get it paid. Right? Like, it's like that skill set. If something comes up, I'm like, I'll just go sell some policies. Right? Like, I have the ability. You who just went on a run, right, said, hey, I need to hit this number or I'm going to lose out big time. Like, you got to that number, right? You develop that. So, right. So for them, as they're working through now, okay, and learning how to solve those problems. It's funny you say on the recording, the first thing I look is how long it is. Like, before I even listen, I look at the time. I want to know, like, hey, if they send me a recording, right? It's like an NFL team watching film, a pitcher watching a batter. Hey, he can't hit a slider, right? Like, I've watched enough film. I know if I throw this pitch here, he can't hit it. that's what you got to do for your sales is you got to figure out where your hole is, right? And most people, it is in what we're talking about here. Okay. You are skipping over. So what about I use crank wheel a lot now because I have agent, like I have a lot of people that, because I do general life, want to talk on the phone. Um and so, but what I do is I use crank wheel and I share my screen. I want them to see me. I want them to know who I am, right? And half the time they end up being, oh well, we can jump on a video because they see me. Um,
Mhm.
how like how does that for you, right? Is your coaching, and I want to open this up here for some live coaching for everybody that wants to get in. Um, what does that coaching session look like when they're only doing the 5 minutes? Right. When you see like, oh, you're only in there for five. Like what does that look like? Because a lot of times it's the same problem.
Um, yeah, so what the coaching session looks like is often some role play, often kind of helping walk the agent through, what it looks like to go deeper there. But there's a couple of things that I usually want to draw out and highlight there. Number one, there's two types of questions that you have to ask, and both of them are absolutely critical. You have to ask emotional questions, like you have to get down to the emotion. Okay, so okay, I'll stick a pin in that. I have to ask emotional questions and logical questions. Okay, people buy emotionally and they justify it logically, and so if you are doing tons and tons of emotion, how you'd feel, what would that be like? And it's gonna be so terrible and awful, and oh my gosh. And you don't ever talk about what's their actual finances look like, what's their income, what's their savings, do they have other life insurance, stuff like that. You're doing yourself just as much a disservice by not doing all those like, financial fire drill type questions as if you do all the logic and you never dive into the emotion. Like you have to have both. The logic stuff does give, like, that's where you really connect the dots. Like sometimes people don't see their problem until you draw that all out, and you're like, well, wait a minute here, we've got a household income that today is $11,000, and hi, Bob and Jane, retired couple, do you realize that Jane's going to have $3,500 a month left if Bob passes away, and you have a $2,000 mortgage? Like, have we thought about this? Have we talked? Like, that's a problem. So that's part of the conversation, is making sure you have emotional and logical questions, and then you have to there has to be story involved. And actually, even the way I would say, so, facts tell, stories sell, they always say, right? And even the way I would frame that up is the client's imagination has to be involved. So us telling stories, very powerful, and I very often tell stories somewhere in the process. Even more powerful is the story that they tell themselves, which can, number one, be like, hey, do you know anyone who XYZ that's ever happened to? Or if they kind of make reference to something like, yeah, this guy that I work with, blah, 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 last year something happened and we just don't want to be like that. Like, don't pass that over. Be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. What happened? And let them tell the story, right? And when what I did with Trevor there, which I highly recommend, kind of the first foray into those emotional questions, if you have a married couple, it looks a little bit different with a single person, is like, hey, okay, wife, let me ask it's usually wife first. Husband passes away, but you paint it with all the details. And when you do that, their mind is getting going, imagining that scenario. Because if you can't ever get the client to project themselves forward into that future day and be in the shoes of their future self where that death has happened, they're not really feeling it. So you got to get them projected there. But let me pause, Trevor.
No, that is it is incredibly important. So I want to show this real quick. I'm getting my code. I'm logging into my university account right now because I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and I just want to I'm gonna promote this real quick because of how much it helped me, um, and like what it did. Right. There it is, my library. Right. So
While Trevor's pulling that up real quick, guys, here I'll give you guys a question to drop to answer in the chat while Trevor's pulling that up. Is you guys, for those of you who are like, yeah, I just don't really dive that deep right now with my clients, put in the chat whatever barriers we face when we shine the light on them. That's the important thing of like breaking the power of them, right? So what's like the resistance that you feel around doing that, or is it just like I have no idea what to do, or what's kind of the gap there for anyone who's like, yes, I realize I don't dive as deep as I should. Tell us what it is. I'm scared, I'm worried, I don't know what to do, etc. Just answer in the chat and keep going, Trevor.
I love that. That was intrusive and someone get mad. Yeah, I mean that's maybe getting too nosy, right? Like how much of their right, like what are your limiting self-beliefs? Like, right? And that's where Chris is going with this, right? Like where are your limiting self-beliefs holding you back, right? Is it you that think $150 a month is a lot for that policy? Is it you feel like you're being nosy or intrusive? You know, I felt like I was, yeah, a little awkward. Uh, most people give closed end answers. That's right. Fat figured that. Man, what the heck? Reset. Okay.
Trevor, just interrupt me once you're there, or are you good?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're almost there now. But so where I want to go as we're doing this, like you, Chris and I didn't have this conversation, but he teed it up like perfectly for me here because this was there, right? So it was great. They actually talked about it on a lot of us go to Jim's, accountability call in the morning, and they were talking about the chapter in his book today, right? Um, and he talks about timing, okay, and the importance of getting people at the right time. And he talked about what he wanted to buy and how when the guy kept calling him, he was calling him at the wrong time. Oh, my friend showed up. Oh, hey, I'm there in this, right? Hey, I'm working on this. I'm doing this, right? What does for you, right? What does that like as I'm getting this there? What does that look like when they're going and they, I know I'm not calling them out and then they say, "Oh, I'm so glad you called me back. I've been so busy." How do you teach people to stop taking that personally? Like, the person requested it, but then we project that it's me, right? It's not them. And so it's there. So how do you help with that?
Well, I think in part, kind of doing what you did there a second ago, Trevor, is just giving like stories and anecdotes of like all the counter examples, here's what happened with this person, here's what happened with this person, here's how, I thought XYZ, this person's just blowing me off or ducking me, but then I found out later on such and such happened, they've been rushed to the hospital, whatever. I think carrying those kind of contexts with us helps, but the other thing I'll do, Trevor, is I'll just ask an agent sometime who is kind of struggling with this. Here, let me do this because a couple of you guys put a couple of things in the chat just now. Would someone be so bold as to speak up for a second? Who's like, yeah, I just maybe at a handful of different points in the sales process, I'm scared of being pushy. I'm scared of being pushy. I think I'm bothering people. And that's why when they kind of give me the runaround, yeah, I take that personally because it just confirms my fear.
I
Would
can
someone,
speak up to that.
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Let's go. Cassie, I think I heard you first. A few of you guys. So well done, guys. Is it Cassie? Is that the correct pronunciation?
No, Casey.
Casey. Okay. I'm so sorry.
It's all good. Yeah, in my experience when I make dials, yeah, that's kind of the general feeling I have is I'll investigate, and when I sense a little bit of resistance, I feel a little wrong for going in a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Because as much as I want to make this and I want to be able to help, but it's hard to gauge how to help if they're not going to be open or receptive to it, especially
Mm-hmm.
when some of the starting questions are already so personal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what medications are you taking? Or or how are you doing? Just not even getting that far. It's just, hey, what kind of insurance do you already have? And then when I go in for, okay, well, talk to me about that insurance. It's again another form of like evasive questions, and it does make me feel a little pushy in that sense.
Okay. So Trevor, I'm answering your question by showing kind of the
Yeah,
conversation I have
yeah,
with
I
an
love
agent
it.
in this case. And Casey, thanks for speaking up there. What your guys, put a one in the chat if you relate in any way to anything that Casey's saying there. If you've experienced these things, right? Yep. So Casey, a couple of things. Um, First of all, question for you, Casey, and everyone can think about this. But Casey, I'll put you on the spot here since you spoke up. How many people, what percentage of people wake up in the morning and they are like, the thing that I can't wait to do today is spend an hour and a half to 2 hours on a Zoom video call with some dude or gal that I've never met before, answering a lot of really personal questions about my health, my finances, giving my social security number and banking info, and talking about the day that I die and am gone, and committing to spend $150 a month on life insurance. How many people wake up and they're like, that is the thing that I cannot wait to do today? In Casey, you're on the spot here, so go ahead and unmute. And
Yeah, I would have some suspicions. I'd have a lot more questions than answers to those
not
kinds of questions.
not many people wake up wanting to do that, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Linda
Okay,
Chung said negative.
right. All right, so we can agree this is the easiest thing in the world for people to put off and procrastinate. A lot of reasons why they would want to. Now, Casey, how long have you been in the business, Casey?
I'm starting on 3 months now. I started back in November.
Okay, you made some sales.
I got licensed in October, and I started with Symmetry later in November.
Okay, you've made some sales.
No sales.
No, sir. Okay. Hey, and that is okay. I can tell you, man, I can tell you good stories about people who took a good little while. Um, think about think about a can you think of a client you've talked to? No, let me do this. Think about a friend or a family member, someone close to you, okay? Someone close to you who has some kind of family. And can you think of someone you know close to you who, let's say it's a couple, and if one of them passes away, a partner or kids left behind are really going to struggle financially without that income?
I can think of a few people.
Okay. Get one of them in your mind. And do you have someone in mind?
I do.
Okay.
Definitely.
Let's pretend this person is your client
Okay.
and you're sitting in front of them in a sales appointment. And here, I'm going to stick a pin in this for 1 second. Let me ask one other question to set this up. Um, Guys, how many times in life on some given day do we have the best intentions in the world of doing something that we know we need to do, know we should do? We say, I'm absolutely 100% going to do XYZ today. And then for whatever reason, that good, important thing that we know we need to do, should, whatever, maybe we've been putting off for a long time, it doesn't happen.
Can we get a
Am
two
I
in the
the only
chat?
one?
If can we get a two in
Put
the
a two in the
chat?
Yeah,
chat.
definitely me.
Right? Like,
Okay.
can we?
Jim.
Okay, we're not
All
alone,
right.
Chris. We're not alone here.
Now, for all of us twos in the chat, me too,
Yeah.
how many times with the very best intentions, we were right there, gonna do that thing today, about to do it. And not only did we not do it today, but we never do it. Like that was our window, that was our chance. Put a three in the chat if like you can relate to like, yeah, there's time. Yep, a lot of times it doesn't happen. Okay. Guys, this is what is going on when we meet with our clients, whether you recognize it or not. So for Casey, for you, and for everyone else, this is what's going on. And what's at stake here, whether we realize it or not, for a lot of our clients, if they don't get it done with us right now, today, they're not getting it done ever. Like truly, it's just the nature of people and life and the way these things go. There's a healthy percentage of people we meet with who, if it doesn't happen right now today, it ain't ever happening. So Casey, I want you to go back to that person you care about that you're imagining, and I want you now to imagine that you had them as a client in front of you, and there was a need and they could afford coverage, and you had a solution for their problem, and for whatever reason they're like, well, we just need to check it out, well, think about some few things, look at whatever. You're like, oh my gosh, I sure don't want to be pushy, so okay, no problem, call me back next week or whatever you do, and it doesn't get done. And now I want you to imagine that key income earner passing away, and you are at their funeral talking to the family who's now financially struggling. And the family asks you, wait, Casey, like you met with them? You talked to them about life insurance? Like, why? Like in on that day in that conversation, are you going to be, and this is not just for Casey, guys. Casey, thank you for speaking up first. So you got put on the spot. This is for everyone, right? Okay. Imagine yourselves, guys, having a conversation at that funeral. And are you going to feel glad about the fact, oh, I'm glad I didn't step on any toes. I'm glad I was really careful not to be that pushy salespeople or offend anyone? Or the family in that day, like, is there going to be this feeling of, my gosh, what if I could have gotten that done? Now imagine it did get done. Okay. Now imagine you're at the funeral and it did get done. And the family is like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is making such a difference for us, the coverage. Like, is that family in that day, are they gonna be like, hey, I wish you had been a little less pushy. I wish you had been a little more careful to not step on any toes? Or are they going to be really grateful that you did what it did to get the job done?
They'd be grateful. I'm pretty sure I would get a plate, mournfully, but all the same, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah,
So I'm
that's
going to
a
leave it there. Thanks, Casey, for going back and forth
thanks
with
for
me on
doing
that.
that, Casey. You hear things when you're on calls like what we do is important. The picture that Chris just showed is why it's important. I want my conscience clear. I'm willing to say, like, so for the nurturers in the room, okay, this is going to hurt when I say this out loud and you hear me say this, right? But as one of my mentors, Sarah Reineke, says, right, just remember I'm your friend and I love you. So, if they say I'm going to call you back, I will say you're not going to, and they'll be like, "What?" I go, just so you know, if I had $1 for every person that said they were going to call me back, I wouldn't need any more dollars in my life. Okay. And I'm willing to have that uncomfortable conversation. Why? Because I want to be the person that they said, thank you for making sure my family isn't struggling, versus why didn't you call us back? Why didn't you follow up? Why didn't you try to get me at that right time? Right. I don't want that on my conscience. Right. Like, that conscience side is so important. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick for Chris. I just figured it out. I have 2 emails. I'm logging into the wrong account. So I'm in the wrong
Oh,
account here. So I was
shoot
like,
me a
what
message
is
when we get
going
that
on?
straight.
Where is my course? Like, I was so mad.
And if you need me to pull something up and show you, I can.
Yeah. So, well, what I want to do here is I want to show them what it does. Okay, guys, this course helped me so much. Okay. This was incredible. Okay. So I want you guys to see when you
Trevor,
go in.
for those of us on small screens, do you mind zooming in just a little bit?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. So, right, when you go through, right, now he has 2 different packages. All right. When I tell you how much this is, you guys are going to freak out. Okay. So you're going to get an introduction to the course, your quick starts, right? Your videos to watch, personal development, because we need relentless pursuit of personal growth. Okay. Chris breaks down what mortgage protection is, how we use it, right? The keys to success, all the things you're hearing him talk about, principles of sales, how we purchase leads. Now, hey, the appointment setting phone call script, right? Getting into the psychology, tonality, right? Anybody that's listened to me knows how important I think tonality is. It is so important, right? What do I tell it? What do I tell all my agents? What speed should you be speaking at on the phone? What number do I tell you to put up of your normal pace? Right? Like if I have any agents on here, 75%. Yes, Miss Sandra, they know. I want you to talk at 75% because you're excited, you're new, you're trying, and you're probably talking real fast because you're nervous and you're trying to get through the call. And versus, hey, have you guys heard when Chris talked how just his tone, right? He's not monotone where you don't want to listen to him. You're not like, this is awful, but how, right? How his tonality is. I think that's super important. There's different tools, the leads for dialing, right? Risk assessment, right? I have to know everything. I have to know everything. I can't help them if I don't know all the products, right? So things we can do, right? Like he has broke down on basic things, presenting options, preparing for the sales appointment, running the whole sales appointment, okay? Like everything you need to do. Oh, hey, my objections, right? I don't have a mortgage. Like, I don't know, there's one or two objections taken, how we take the app, what we do, like, guys. And then he has different dial scripts, presentations, right? All stuff we use. He's using all symmetry stuff. He doesn't have some magic, like he talked about. He's like, I use the PowerPoint in HQ, right? He doesn't have some magic creation. It's there. So if I said to you, right, this course was $99 for all this information, do you think it'd be worth it? Put one in chat if you guys think it'd be worth it. It's $25, guys, one time forever. Right? And that's just because he's got to host the website and do all that stuff. Right? Like he's not getting rich doing $25 anytime soon. Okay. And then if you want some coaching and you're like, hey, I need some coaching and I don't want to go to my mentor. I want to go to my upline. He has an area you can go get some coaching where he does it. That's there. But this is incredibly helpful. I wanted to plug this because I think it's one of the best resources we have in the entire symmetry system. I think this is an incredible resource. It is so well done. I like when I saw that, I was genuinely blown away, Chris. So I wanted to make sure I shared that. Yes, I will get the link. Hold on. Do you have your link there, Chris? You probably have it saved.
Yeah, if you want to get the here, this I think should take you to both of them.
Yeah, here it is. I got it now. There it is.
Probably. Okay. mortgageprotectionuniversity.com or yeah, the link that you guys just dropped there.
Yep. Perfect. Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor. Glad it's been helpful. It's definitely taken on a life of its own that I never expected.
Yeah, it's but man, like it's right, like how my favorite part isn't when I help a family. My favorite part is when I hear, like, when we're going to get the text or call from Casey and Casey's going to come up to us and be like, guys, I was on that call and I put this into place and I used this and I'm starting to like help families like that for me. And I know the same for you. Right. So Daniel had his hand up. We got 5 minutes left here. I want to be very respectful of Chris's time. Get this last question in. Daniel, you had your hand up there. What'd you have for Chris?
He answered a lot of it, but I guess some of what I was thinking as well, when you're in there and there's like dead silence and you can tell the person just wants quotes and to get on with it, and you're trying to generate some rapport and talk about different topics to try to change the vibe, I guess, something like that.
Great question.
If things are falling completely flat, then and you're just not sure that this person is on board, then I would say don't be scared one tiny little bit. I do it all the time. I'm like, Daniel, if you're my client, like, hey, Daniel, and by the way, like, I don't want to waste your time or mine. Like, if this is something that that you want help with, I'm totally happy to help you with. But, you may just be sitting here going like, yeah, thanks, Chris. This is just something I'm really not into or cannot ever see myself doing. And again, if that's the case, I don't want to waste your time. So what do you want to do, Daniel? Like, would you like us to continue this conversation, or is this just not something that feels like a high priority to you right now?
I kind of like it and just wanted to find out what it was about, get some numbers.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Well, let me ask you a few questions then, and then I'm going to keep rolling. And if I'll keep rolling and keep asking questions. And if I feel like I'm still pulling teeth, then sometimes I'll say the same thing again a few minutes later. But yeah, people usually they'll let you know where things are at if you ask that question, like maybe about half the time they'll be like, yeah, you know what, honestly, I just whatever saw this thing, was just curious, didn't know what it was, just curious what it costs. Okay, no problem, won't waste your time. And the rest of the time they're like, no. And then sometimes it kind of lets them know they need to step up their game a little bit and engage.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and while most people are, on a rare occasion, you're going to get someone that isn't the right fit. I told a woman last week, I said, hey, I don't think you're the right fit for me, right? I think you need to find someone else to work with. And here's what's going to happen. They're going to be offended. They're going to be like, what do you mean I'm not good enough for you? That's how they're going to feel. But if I think they're there and they don't want to listen and they're aggressive, here's a really cool thing. Once you get your book built, you get to say that. You get to say, hey, I want to make sure I help them. But having that there is like super helpful. So keep that in mind. All right. 1 minute left. What do you got, Pam?
So my quick question is, like when you are trying to dig into their why and the need, and they're kind of justifying it like, well, I do have this retirement, or, well, by the time I don't have my work insurance, the house will be paid off and we'll have the equity. Do you let that go, or do you dig more to kind of get the why out of them?
I love that one. I have gotten better at this one in the last 12 months. We're always growing, guys. My favorite thing to do there, if it feels like it's turning into this debate where they're giving you all the reasons why they don't need this coverage, then figuratively, guys, stand up, walk around to the other side of the table and sit down next to them on their side of the argument. And so, but like, well, Pam, I'm going to kind of play devil's advocate here for a second. Like, you mentioned you got these retirement savings and this other life insurance policy and you make good income and blah, blah, blah. And, like, yeah, things might be kind of tough, but you really feel like it'd be pretty fine, if one of you passed away. Like, why spend money on something like mortgage protection? Like, why not just kind of, roll with what you guys have there? And when you ask that question, they'll either kind of give you, yeah, I don't know why. And then at that point, usually things wind down pretty quickly. But much more often than that, in my experience, then they'll give you the why. They'll like, well, yes, I know we have this, that, the other, blah, blah, blah. I just don't want my wife to struggle. I don't want her to go through a hard time. Bingo. Now we got the phrase. Oh, okay. I got it. You do not want Mary to struggle. Yes, that's exactly it. Okay, great. I can help you. Now we go solve that problem.
Yeah, so well done. That is, it's interesting you said that. Same. It's something I've gotten a lot better at as well. And I literally say the same thing. I'm like, hey, what I tell them is, hey, I'm gonna come over there with you. Let's walk this through. For what I say is, I'm gonna walk this through your lens, right? I want to see this through your lens so I can understand a little better and be on your side here. So let's figure this out. So, right, like you could say devil's advocate, look through your lens. Like that transition is really good. So, Chris, man, thank you so much. You are always willing to give your time. So excited for everything that's coming this year. Get to see you soon, and we appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks for having me. This was fun. All the respect in the world, Trevor, for you, Scott, Kelly, Sam, the entire team. You guys are doing awesome stuff. Keep it up. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. For those that were